Visible barrier that repels water and virtually eliminates glare. Better weather.
Good Monday morning, and thank you so much for joining us on the Weather Channel. I'm Vivian Brown, along with Will Anna in this hour. I tell you what, we are keeping you updated on the very latest conditions from coast to coast in terms of current weather, and we have the latest on the tropics. Things have been quite inactive, if you will, the last month or so across the tropical Atlantic here. We don't have anything to speak of even this morning for the most part. You can see from the Gulf of Mexico to the Caribbean and even out across the central tropical Atlantic here, things are fairly quiet. We have been watching some convection with this little disturbance here well east of the islands and Puerto Rico. No organization expected with this system, but again, the Gulf of Mexico is very, very quiet and void of any tropical development. Our system here has been downgraded to a tropical depression. That's Olaf. Yesterday it was a tropical storm, but now it's just merely a tropical depression. It is expected to continue dissipating over the next 12 hours or so and should not cause too many problems. Let's focus first, though, on the eastern, the Atlantic basin here. As you notice, again, our water vapor loop indicates dry air for most of the Gulf of Mexico. Over the weekend, we were dealing with an upper level low in the central Gulf, and that's what brought the very heavy rains across the Tampa area. Over 10 and 11 inches were reported. The good news is that that area of low pressure has been constantly moving north here, and it's basically pulling that moisture away from Tampa in the southeast, and we have the wet weather this morning over the northeast. Let's zoom in. Again, the Gulf of Mexico is quiet right now. We do have the stretch of some clouds here off the southern coast of Florida, and we have had some thunder showers around Homestead and the Keys, but not a tropical system. Certainly should not organize into anything as far as the tropics go. As we keep going a little farther south, of course, this being the Caribbean Sea, this is Puerto Rico, Hispaniola here, Cuba, Jamaica, and things are quiet. We have been watching some convection here near Venezuela, the northern parts of South America, but nothing organized, so it's nothing too threatening. Here is that wave I showed you earlier as it approaches the central islands that make up the Lesser Antilles, maybe some squally weather around Dominica, but again, as we look at the overall picture, it is quiet here. One little wave developing just south of the Cape Verde Islands as it came off the African coast yesterday, and it has some convection with it. Now, development with this system is not totally impossible, but it's unlikely. But we'll continue to watch it for you closely as we go through the next 12 hours. Again, as you look at the overall basin, it is pretty quiet, the Atlantic. Now, over the eastern Pacific, again, tropical depression Olaf here near the Gulf of Tehuantepec. It's about 25 miles west of Salina Cruz in Mexico. Winds of 35 miles an hour, so it's merely a tropical depression here. It's moving, drifting very, very slowly west. The biggest problem will perhaps be the heavy rains, perhaps mudslides over the area, but it is expected to continue to dissipate as the center, you can't even really identify the center of this system here, but it does have quite a bit of convection with it, so heavy rains and mudslides a big possibility with this system. A little farther west, as we show you the entire Pacific Basin, we've been watching Typhoon Ginger. It's been churning the waters of the Central Pacific for the last couple of days, the last several days actually. Now it's moving off toward the northeast, has winds of about 95 miles an hour now, or up to 100 miles an hour, the winds associated with it. But it's not in the path of any general landmass areas, so the system itself right now, over the next 24 hours, should not affect any landmass areas, but it could have a long-term effect as it becomes extratropical and start to lose a lot of its tropical characteristics. And because it's moving off toward the northeast, as we go through time, we might watch Typhoon Ginger amplifying an upper trough in the Pacific Northwest, bringing us unsettled weather for Washington State and Oregon by the end of the week. We'll keep you posted. Stay with us. Weatherscope is next.
Launch control, this is Houston. We are go for launch. Copy that, Houston.
A lot of furnaces only know one speed.
2, 1.
But American Standard makes gas furnaces